Good morning to everybody. And so here we go with the panel discussion on ICYM and me, witness and achievement. ICYM, which started on the 6th of February 2000, though it was approved on the 14th of September 1999, and various persons instrumental in its approval and recognition. Today, we have reached the 10th National Youth Convention. The first National Youth Convention was held in Vasai, and the cry and the demand and the request and the appeal of the youth at that time was, can we have National Youth Forum? And that's how, right from 1989, we started the process of the ICYM. Though we got the approval, we always say that ICYM is like a product which is always in process. Today, as we are here to understand the ICYM and me, this session, I believe, should be able to inspire and motivate each and every one of us how we could go about from now onwards, from 2000 till 2017, and from 2017 onwards. But here are 4 persons in 4 different areas, in 4 different fields, and in different places, and yet carrying on the spirit of ICYM. Sometime we are used to writing the short messages in the SMS. And one of the persons who was asking me, what is the real long form of ICYM? And I said, it's very clear, Indian Catholic Youth Movement. But that person say, I have found the real meaning. ICYM. I see why I am. That's the real ICYM which has given the spirit. And I believe the 4 persons who are going to speak today are going to enlighten our hearts and minds how they understood ICYM and how they would like to communicate in short in the given time that is allotted to us. And so we begin from the first person who was introduced, Mr.Prakash Lobo, the person from the son of the soil, from Mangalore itself. So would you like to be the opening batsman? Prakash.
Hello, good morning to all, and thanks for my kind introduction. In my childhood, I was little silent and little more about reserved person. I not keen on taking stage or talking to somebody. I was usually sit in the last bench, but every time my teachers forced me to sit in the first bench. Not that I am smart, just because I am very small and they can't see me at the last bench. So I was forced to come out when I was in small. But I was sort of little famous for unconventional questions. Once I remember, it happened in the class. There was a discussion on nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. My favorite subject was same subject. And in the class, next day, the teacher asked me, which is the date? I was wondering. I totally lost in the detail. I was asked in return, instead of answering when did it was happened, instead of I asked them, what would I have done to not to drop the bomb, or where they have any other option to instead of dropping the bomb on those things. I think entire class was laughing at me and I was termed as a stupid. But teachers who called me after the class and said that whatever you say, you make sense. This is what my beginning. And he told me one thing that day, keep this childhood spirit, whoever say whatever to you, but keep this with you. As you grow, you will be influenced by your parents, your society, and your surroundings and your environment to do the things that you don't want it to do. So if you keep your spirit intact, if your institution, that childhood spirit is intact, you will do what you wanted to be do. This whole journey begins here. And today, I still wonders why, what makes Charles Darwin to turn down offer from his dad. That was, he secured a job in church, and he took for a ship named Beagle that set to sail across the globe. My journey in YCS actually begins with searching for my identity, to know who I am and what I want to be. I think I was elected as a president of diocese unexpectedly. So some reason, something has popped up, and I just stood for election when one day was out. And I was elected as a president. But I was from a remote place, out from city, miles away from Mangalore city. There is not even electricity has been came from my village. It's from Siddakatte, in a village called Trai. They sent me here, Mangalore diocese. I started to interact with the people. I started going, and I exploring a different world altogether here. I learned how to socialize with the people, how to communicate with the people, mainly how to gel with the youth. So I think this is strength today for my company. Today, because of this, I can understand them very quickly. I can know their psychology. I can know their dynamics, why they behave like this. Today, I can say that in my company today, ThinkPace, most of them are below 30, and all are in between 25 to 28. All are in MCAs and engineers. But I'm able to handle with them because of what I had in YCS. So, but there is one more interesting things happened when I was in YCS. I think out of 48 Sunday, I almost visited 73 parishes. Full of energy, we used to go in a team, used to go in a jeep, and we talk to people and motivate them, telling them that you need to think big, everything is possible and all. A year was gone, and my PUC results are out. And I had the hope to get a seat in engineering college. It's in Mangalore itself. And I was rejected, refused, sent back, saying that this doesn't make you a hero. You are a big zero here. You not even wrote a CET exams. You don't even aware about it. So better you go back. So unfortunately, I forced to go back and do the diploma engineering, though I had a first class marks. I am fine with that. I did my diploma in electronics communication. I started again. After 2-3 months, I was full of energy. I don't know where to invest this energy. So I am looking for opportunity. Then somebody introduced me for ICYM. So I started rebuilding my career in ICYM, through ICYM. I started as a unit level. Then I moved to Varado zone. Then I moved to diocese. Initial 2-3 years, I am telling you, it is really benefited for me. I learned so many things. I learned how to communicate, how to talk to people, how to know them. So 2-3 years have passed, 3 years are gone. Simultaneously, I got a job in Indian Airlines at Bachwe as a network engineer. Everything is smooth. And one day, I felt after 4-5 years, one circumstance make me to stay out from the move out or force me to move out. And I can summarize today, my experience with ICYM is bittersweet. The initial year is very productive, and after 2 years, 3-4 years, actually I was losing my time. Then I realized what can be done. So I have to move out now. I have to move out from a different world where there are really genius are there. So I'm telling you today, I'm here, but I'm telling you, there might be better outsmart between you. There may be a very good designer, very good a developer, very good a programmer, or very good. There are lot of people are out there in the society. And I can say that ICM will help you to learn the knowledge. You need to acquire skills to go out for real and to face a real world. Dear friends, today I can summarize ICM experience in one sentence. I can say it is a stepping stone for your future, ICYM. But if you make it as a destiny, then I think you are wrong. I think most of them will agree with this. So if you realize it, when to move out and how to get into the society and how you take your skills from ICYM and what you learn from ICYM and form your personality, that where you actually counts. Uh, there is a stage when you emerge from youth to another, we are unable to handle the transitions. I can say that because we have an image saying that what we think that what matter most is gaining publicity, gaining name, gaining attention from the people, making money, making friends. But we are uncertain about our ways, how to do it, and we fail to learn from our mistakes and experience. So what makes the real goal is how to transform your mind and how you build your character. That is what counts here. Anybody can tell me what sort of peoples we have in this world, or what sort of people you are? Is it successful and failure? If I ask somebody, they say that successful and failure, and there is a notion that smart people are only successful, or failures are because of their mistakes they failed. I can say that there is only two sort of people in this world. One is learner, one is unlearners. There is nothing called success, nothing called failure. If you have an idea, you have a two choice, either to start or not to start. Even though you want to start, I can feel it today. Even I feel there is a tiny part inside my mind, still fear of failing. Okay, but the another word, if you do not start, there is a problem. You will regret for your life that you didn't ventured into it. Recently, I had been for a startup conference in a post graduation college, and they told me to speak about these ideas and all. I asked them, how many of you wanted to be entrepreneur? How many of wanted to be a business person? I think if I ask here, can I raise up anybody who was interested to be entrepreneur here? One, two, four. Why you are not confident enough? There are few hands. I appreciate that. Might be you are more successful than me, or you may build a system better than what we are trying to do it. I wish good luck. When I asked this college, when this post-graduation student, most of the hands are up because there is a hype was created. The startup, startup, startup. All hands are up. Then I said, how many of you have unique ideas? How many of your ideas? All hands are same. Then I asked, how many of your unique ideas? I think they have doubt. Then half of the hands are gone down. Then I asked them, you have an idea. Your idea need to be unique, organic, real, and it has to be close to nature. It has to be, it has to connect from you deep within, or else its idea is not an idea at all. I asked them, what sort of company you want to build? And I used to think when I was in small, I need to run an NGO. I had a foundation called Lighter Life Foundation. Gradually down the line, I felt instead of you need to build a system, you need to build a system where you can be independent to do what you wanted to do. And if you really connected to your ethics for long, you can make a great changes. Changes in the sense not in the big level or whatever it is. If you hire 100 people and start a culture, how the company has to be run. It is a new things into the world that is not has been introduced. This is what I meant to say. Today I can say that what motivates you should comes from deep within. It's not from outside. I can say today public appreciation, publicity, name, all these are distraction from your goal, nothing else. So if you connect yourself deep within, I think authenticity of your work will communicate what you wanted to do and how genuine you are. Dear friends, I recently had been one venture. I was pitching for investments. I was being a venture capitalist, and there are set up board of directors from the VCs. They set and asked many questions. Questions over questions. They asked me, what is the market size? What is the how you sure about your idea going succeed? So many questions they asked. Then I told one thing. So I'm not a good presenter. I'm not a good talkative person. I do not know how to make a presentation. But you're asking all these questions to a wrong person. You should ask this question to a salesperson who was head of my business, not to me. I am here with the ideas. If you want to fund it, you find the ideas. And you are here, you people are salesperson, you people are executives, you are board of directors, and you people have those skills. You look for me, get me a technical guy to talk to me. I will present my skills. This is what happening in a real world. You don't know how to handle the situation and you don't realize it. hold yourself back, analyze the situation, then reply to that. Dear friends, I can say that uh, you need not to do anything. I am telling you, you need not to do anything, or you need not to speak anything. If something you want to talk, then make sure that you are 100% sure about it, and that should comes from deep insight from you. And when you need to add insightful, then only you talk. That makes sense. And I feel I feel that ICYM has lot of potential in creating leaders. It is really good. Even from ICYM, what I can learn is leaders need not to be dominating. You need not to be yes. Need not to be dominating. You need not to be autocratic. You need not to be a good orator. I think if you study the most top class companies in across the globe, those who are successful and those who are founders are very calm, composed, and they are silent, and they talk when they make sense. So there is different sort of leadership you can acquire and you can learn from ICYM. Dear friends, I can say that today this world, we need a leaders. We need a leaders who can suspend their egos and who can build their system, who can build the institution, who can build the society, or who can build the companies that they want to run. Not to build their egos or their what we call it is success is not that comes from achievement. It is all about learning. And most of the time we fail to figure out who I am. I am still searching for that, and I think I learn who I am is a ongoing process, and you will find eventually. So thanks for giving me opportunity and time, and I love to take questions then express myself. Okay, thank you, one and all.
Wonderful. Prakash, you have really enlightened our hearts and mind as your name carries. Prakash, the light. And the way you spoke about the sense of rejection and yet how you moved forward. And the way you categorize the learners and the earners, and not to get frightened of the fear of failure. Success connected with the interior life, authenticity. I think you have spelled out beautifully. We'll get back to you afterwards in the form of the questions in case anybody wants to ask. We go over to Murphy, and Murphy is the person we would like to listen to. How did he get down to the grassroots level work, especially by reaching out the persons on the streets? Murphy?
Before I begin, is everyone here comfortable with English? And Hindi? No, okay, so I'll stick to English then. Though my name has been called out quite a bit, but it is courtesy to introduce yourself. So good morning, my young friends. My name is Murphy and I come from Delhi. My story will not be very different from a lot of yours. But yes, I would like to share with you how ICYM has and can mold or give direction to one's life. Like every other city boy, I hated going to church. And don't deny the fact that you guys as kids loved it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you did not like it. We were forced by our parents, never understood why are we doing this? Why is it that every Sunday I have to go to this place? And as I grew, there was a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of problems I used to face, and a lot of it was projected towards God. Because you failed an exam, you had a fight with your parents, you were doubtful about your friends, maybe a friend of yours betrayed you, anything. And you would just turn around and say, why God, why me? Why am I going through this? What did I do? It was in these troubling years that I happened to join the youth group of my parish. Again, why I joined, I do not know. But I believe everything has a reason. So I joined my youth when I was about 15 years old. And ever since then, my life took on a very different tangent, a very different angle altogether. As part of the youth, My friends and I made new friends, first of all. People I saw in church every day but never really knew. And then we started doing things. We started going to orphanages, we started going to old homes, we started organizing programs. The youth group gave me a chance to discover talents and qualities that I had within me, which I never knew. How to organize things, how to care for something, how to plan something out. Slowly, slowly, I realized that this youth group was not just pertaining to the church, but it grew. It was beyond the church. There was a diocese, there was a regional level, there was a national level. And before I knew it, that's when my life in ICYM kind of began. By being a volunteer at the national office when Father Alvin was the director, soon after Father Joel. And it was a great time. I refused to go back home. I lived in Delhi. The national volunteers stayed in Delhi. My mother used to call every day, "Beta, ghar aa jao." And I'd be like, "Haan, mama, kal aa jaunga. I'll come tomorrow." I never wanted to leave. That's the kind of energy that was there in that youth group, of being part of a body, of being part of a family away from your family. It was great being there, but then slowly, over time I realized, I had to move out. I realized one thing, which is something I'd like to share with all of you. As Father very beautifully had put, ICYM is ICYIM, right? How many of you believe that? How many of you believe that ICYM is not Indian Catholic Youth Movement? It is it is that, but along with that is ICYIM. How many of you believe that? Not a lot. Well, let me tell you something. You really want to see who you are? You first need to lose yourself. Only if you lose yourself can you find yourself. The sad part is, all of us are lost, but we don't realize we are lost because we are so busy chasing what we think our dreams are. Because from childhood we were taught, you need to study, you need to go to college, you need to become a doctor, you need to become an engineer, you need to become a lawyer, you need to become something that will give you lots of money. And the moment you're done with your studies, you need to get married. And the moment you're done with marriage, you need to have a kid. And then your life is over. No offense to anyone who's married here, but just saying. And then you start thinking, what about me? So my friends, I will definitely ask you to realize that yes, you are lost somewhere, so that you can start finding yourself. I started discovering myself when I started moving out of my house, out of my comfort zone, when I became part of the ICYM movement, where I was able to interact with members, youth groups and youth members from across the nation. I made such lovely friends who are now today married and settled. I may not look it, but I am pretty old. And it gives me pleasure to see that I got to know someone. Not the work that I've done, but got to know so many beautiful people. And that's the beauty of being part of such a big family. I'm still discovering myself. I'm still trying to find out who I am. I'm still trying to see me. But as I said, I believe that each of us have a purpose. We have some meaning to our lives. And I think we should take out the time to find it. And this is a great platform to do that. Not just a National Youth Convention, but being part of a ministry that calls out to you. That calls out to the energy inside you to do something, to become someone, to make a difference. It was in ICYM, as a part-time, as a hobby, my friends and I, we started taking care of children on the streets. We should get them food. We started teaching them. I was doing my graduation. I was doing English honors. It still is a very good course in Delhi. And my plan was set. I'm going to my bachelor's, my master's, my MPhil, blah, 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 something that Aparna is doing, and become a professor in college. But I guess God had some other plans in his mind. When I started volunteering, when I started helping out these children on the streets, I realized that this is where I belong. I realized that I had an amazing family that I grew in. I had all the opportunities a child wanted or needed. And now it is my time, it was my turn to give that to people around me, to children who don't have it. And then that's when my transition began. Whatever I could learn from the church, I learned, and I moved out. I moved out of the church and into the streets. I took on these kids with their families. I started first by helping them with their studies, helping them understand the importance of education, and nurturing them towards a better career, a better future. And over the past 8 years, I was able to form an organization by the name of Reach Out and Pass It On that takes care of these children, does exactly what the name says. We reach out to all those who need help, and we pass on whatever that we have learned from our parents, from our people, from the church that we belong to, onto people out there who have no one. And I'm very proud of it. I may not be earning well. I may not be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. I may not be a typical scholar, but I'm happy. That was something I discovered being a part of this movement by discovering myself. I was able to discover that happiness. And I don't know how much more time I have. I have last 2 minutes. So I'd like to read something out to you guys. It was a message that I had received a long time ago, which I suddenly remembered this morning. And it is something that I would like to share with you. It's about the story of two seas. I don't know how many of you have heard this, so if you have heard it, please bear with me. The Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea. Geographically, they're both near each other. But there's a very big difference. Does anyone know what the difference is? I know I cannot hear you, so just show of hand. Do you know what the difference between the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea is? Yeah, all the priests are raising their hands. So to enlighten everyone else, the Sea of Galilee is full of life. It is thriving, it is lush, it is beautiful. And the Dead Sea is lifeless. Not a single fish in it. No life, no nothing. And you know what's remarkable? What's remarkable is that the water coming into both these seas come from the same river, the River Jordan. So how is it that the water from the same river is alive in one sea and dead in the other? Any guesses to people who don't know the story? Any guesses? Just raise your hand if you have a guess. The priests know the story, so for those who don't know. The simple difference between these two seas is because every drop of water that comes into the Sea of Galilee passes out. It moves on. It does not stay there. Whereas in the Dead Sea, the water enters and stays. It stagnates. That is something you all need to learn. You all have become part of this movement. You're all part of a church. The church is not a building. It is not an institute. It is inside you. Learn what you can. Grow, develop, discover yourself, and then move out. Move out so you can make space for people after you. Is that the buzzer? Okay. So I'll end by saying that, yes, keep moving forward with what you have inside you. With the flame inside you, keep moving forward, otherwise it will die out. You will become like the Dead Sea. Thank you.
Wonderful. Murphy, you have really touched the heart of each and every one of us. You showed how the ICYM was able to help you to organize yourself first, and to come out of the comfort zone and to reach out to the street children. And you continue to do that for the last 10 years. The last words of yours, the point about the Dead Sea and the Sea of Galilee, I suppose wraps up the whole point that you wanted to convey. So thank you so much. And now we come over to Aparna. Would like to listen to her, how she moves from YCS/YSM to the ICYM. Yes, in Delhi, YCS/YSM was not functioning for quite many years. And now, with the help of the ICYM, she is able to enable, rejuvenate the YCS/YSM. So over to Aparna.
Thank you, Father. Hello. Yeah, I like to do that. Like when Jenny said that I teach, I usually like people to interact. It's a two-way thing that I do. So like Father said, my journey had been a little reverse. I began with ICYM and then I went on to YCS. Reason being, of course, Delhi at that point of time when I was in school, we really never had YCS. So I shot off into ICYM, I think when I was in class 8. I was probably just 13 years old. And the only reason I think why I stepped into the youth group is because I began with our catechism classes right after our confirmation. And I remember the first thing that the priest, my parish priest at that point of time, he said to me was, look, if you don't understand anything, get up, raise your hand and question. It doesn't matter if the question is right or wrong. It doesn't matter if the question can hit someone or not hit someone. What is important is that you get the answer to your question. How many of you people sitting here are with questions? Any question in life? Why are we here? Why do we have to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning? Why do I even have to come here? Why did days and dices get over so soon? Any why? Any question at all in your life? How many of you have any questions at all in your life? May we have a raise of hands? That's quite a number, see? So you see, none of us in life are there without questions. And we're all in an attempt to find an answer. You see, you have people here to reach out to, okay? Unlike my other friends, unlike my friends in my university, my students, when I tell them about our movement, they all tell me, you know, Didi or ma'am, you're so lucky that you're attached to this movement. Trust me, no religion in this world is so organized, has a youth movement so strong like ours. No religion. Okay? You have elders, you have people of your age to reach out to when you need. Let's be glad for it. Let's be very glad for it. Because, God forbid, if we had not had ICYM or a youth group or any movement of that sort, have you ever thought what you would have done in all that time where you're investing time here? Just think of it. We often take things for granted. Let's not take things for granted now. Let's try to understand and see why we are here. When you guys joined the youth group, did you guys have that question, why do I think I'm joining the youth group? Or why do you think I'm joining ICYM? If you had, fantastic, perfect. But if you don't, I'm not asking you to write, otherwise I usually ask my students to write, but don't write, but think, just think. Why are you here? Is there a purpose? Is it for yourself or for somebody else? When I joined ICYM, in the last, I think it's been about 14 years that I'm associated to ICYM now. And that's a big chunk of my life. And my mom practically tells me, please buy a tiny tent and put it up next to your church and just live there. Don't come back home. So practically my church is my second home. For all the people who've known me, I've practically lived half of my life as an ICYMer. Half of my life. That's a big chunk of my life. And it was beautiful. The reason why is because A, I made friends. And they've always been there with me. Okay, in my bad times, in times of good. You have people to reach out to, remember. This was the space where I got to question and learn things about science, about religion, about friendship, everything, A to Z, even literature as a matter of fact. Okay? This is a place where we understand why we are as humans and what makes us so different. Why we even existing? Why do we even breathe? Have you ever thought about that? ICYM initially made me a thinker. I believed in thinking. I probably never thought before the way I think now, but it triggers your mind to think towards something that you never thought. As simple as, how many of you thought that we should not have had exams and towards the end of the year you have the entire damn syllabus coming and I was like, oh God, you just cannot score with, you have to cram up so much. How many of you hate your term end exams? My God, you guys are scholars here. I think you guys are much better than I was. I hated exams. Okay. So you see, I see somewhere or the other, living with such people, interacting with such people made me believe that, oh my God, our system is such a crappy system. We have to work and do something about it. And that's the reason why probably I pursued education. And I was like, if we got to fix it, we got to get into the system and fix it. Otherwise, there's no fixing it. They say, no, if you've got to become a politician, you got to get into the mud and become piggy and get all dirt all over yourself. Yeah, it's as much as like that. If you need to fix up a system, you got to get into the system. And that's the reason why, like Murphy said that, she went on with her education, but I did not. So that was my drive. So each of you must be having your own drive to be somewhere, to reach somewhere, to touch someone's, to touch someone's life. Thank you, Murphy. Reach out to people. No two friend of yours would be the same. No two friend of yours would have the same problem in life. And no friendship between one and another would be the same for you. You would have a degree of love or affection for one person at a different level and for another at a different. That's the beauty of each one of us individually. And our ministry is about people and reaching out to people. In the youth group, there have been times, and trust me, nobody says that there'll be no fights. You'll fight, you'll pull each other's hair, not literally, but okay, Murphy says literally. Yeah, that'll happen, okay? You'll disagree, you'll be angry at each other, you will probably be like, yeah, fine, and then go behind a person's back and samajhta kya apne aap ko main dekh lungi usko. Yeah, you'll do all that. But that's a learning process. And go through it. Go with the flow. And the bell rings. So I'll just sum up by saying that please reach out to each other as human beings. We need it. That's the hour. We're not talking to each other. We're all talking to our phones, sadly. So I think we need to reach out, talk to each other, and begin thinking for us, for each other, for the ministry, and for the nation. Thank you.
Wonderful, Aparna. ICYM made you think and explore the drive within you. And that's why you were able to reach out and find meaning also in the struggle within the group. I believe this is the process that you have highlighted. And now we come over to the person, Jacob. We need persons in India. Having studied, we would not like to see the brain drive. And yet, Jose is going to share with us what made him go out of India and shine over there. Jose.
Very good morning to the young people. Are you still awake? Excellent. So I try to share in 10 minutes how my journey with the ICYM started and how things that I learned in the ICYM helped me do what I do now and will help me do much bigger things in days to come. I remember the most powerful moment was when we went for the Advanced Leadership Training Program in Ashirvanam in Kerala, and Father Joel was the director at that time, and he had called as resource person one Father Jerry. This is a Father Jerry who doesn't wear slippers. I think some of you have attended his session. He's a very humble man, very deeply convinced about social inclusion and how everyone has to think about those that don't have and take everyone together. So I was a young boy and in this session in Kerala at the Advanced Leadership Training Program. And there were the other youth leaders of ICYM whom Father Joel mentored, like Roshan, Tushar, Amit Prabhu and all these others. And we were attending this wonderful leadership program. And there, from that father's board, you know, he doesn't come with a PowerPoint. Usually he speaks with power and full of points. So he used the blackboard with chalk piece and he wrote a lot of circles. And anyway, I don't remember all the pieces of the circle, but in the end, the message was this: if you are here today, and soon you will die, right? The day you are born, it's sure that you will die. Me, you, everybody. What can you do for others before your time is up? So the message that I took, of course, I can get a job, I can earn money, I can do this, I can do that, but can I do something concretely for others? And this thought stayed in my head. And that thought, I didn't do anything about it, but it stayed in my head. So that was the root and the start, because normally we come from a very poor family. That's where I came from. We are not thinking about many of these big things or how to help others, because we are trying to help ourselves, no? So it's difficult to help others. So that was our thinking. And at Ashirvanam, through the ICYM camp, suddenly what father was saying is everybody can do a lot, and everybody has to decide that they want to do something. Now I switch a few years and we go to the second impactful moment. It was with Father Sunny Uppan, who was our director of Bangalore diocese. I come from that diocese. And we were preparing this Yesu Christu Jayanti, that is 2000 years. And I think again I had a chance to meet Father Joel and others because they were in the organizing team. And after that, 2000, in 2003 I was elected, anyway, a lot of other processes, and I was in the diocesan team. And at that time, it was the International Year of the Volunteers, and Father Sunny said, we have to do something so that the youth will give back to society and help NGOs. So let's organize a big exhibition with different NGOs, 25 of them, and invite the youth over Saturday, Sunday, and the youth can meet the NGOs working for blind, for lepers, and they can volunteer Saturday, Sunday. Some people will donate some money, some people will volunteer time. Let's arrange this. So I was in a meeting, you know, generally how we have the youth meeting, no? It's a circle or an ellipse. So we were sitting like this in the meeting, and suddenly, you know, we discussed all these good ideas, like Murphy was saying, you know, I also our friend, he was saying in the beginning that ideas are important. So we discussed all these ideas, all the youth are excited, let's do it. Now I was in this funny position called General Secretary. I don't know what that meant, but anyway, the idea was to make sure that things work. No, Secretary also had to, at that time in Bangalore, had to make sure that the money is also there. I don't know how they put me in that role, but anyway. So after some time, I asked Father, how much money is there in the account? Because we made a budget and the budget was something like 2 lakhs. This is 2003. So those days 2 lakhs was a lot of money. Not that it's not now, but anyway. So I looked at Father and said, how much money we have? So Father said, we have around 5,000 in the account. So till that time, I was sitting at the edge of the chair. Like you saw Father Joel in the beginning of the panel, he was sitting at the edge of the chair. Now he has gone back, maybe a bit tired. But anyway, I heard Father saying 5,000, and I know little mathematics even at that age. So I said 2 lakhs and 5,000, big gap. So immediately I also went back to the chair, like Father Joel now, no? I said, okay, this priest has gone mad and all these people have gone mad. Nothing will happen because it's not possible. But anyway, since you're a leader, you can't run away. So they said, you know, let's meet tomorrow at a smaller group and we make the plan. Next day we went, and of course, one thing Father Sunny said that time was, Don Bosco built a magnificent cathedral, and the architect, I don't know who built it, he asked him for the advance. So Don Bosco put his hand in the pocket and gave some coins and said, this is the advance, rest will come. And I have to tell you, last year I visited that cathedral in Turin. It's one of the most beautiful cathedrals with built very magnificently. So he said that if we believe that we can, and if God is with us, we can do it. So this is the thing that I learned from that meeting, and I have to tell you, after the event, we had another 50 or 60,000 left in the account. So the event happened, it went well, and I learned that day that if you decide in your mind to do something, you can do it. Now anyway, I went on to do my engineering, finished it in electronics and communication, then I did my MBA. And in MBA, we are taught about structured thinking, how to make things sustainable, and so on. So the thought of Father Jerry, which is still stuck in my head, like I told you, and the MBA idea that you have to make things sustainable. Anyway, the MBA college where I did my MBA, you get 100% placement. It's among the top 20, so as soon as you finish, before you finish 3 months, you have a job. So I went into Cognizant, which is a IT company. I was working there. And while I was working there, I won the best employee and all these things. Just 2 years I worked there. The question in my mind always was, what can I do? Because here I am working for the American, let's say, company, and we are helping the American companies get more efficient with IT programmers from India, also good. That time we were 60,000 people. I said, okay, all this is fine, but what can I do for our people? And this question stayed in my head. It stuck in my head. And then I decided to quit. My mother was a very interesting person. She never asked me why you're quitting. Normally, in a poor family, and why I'm saying about poverty, I can give you one example. I don't want to say much because time is less. Those days in school, when we were in school, when I studied in school, we didn't have money to buy new pants every year. Children get taller, so I used to get taller. And we used to do one trick. We used to open the stitch from the short pants and make it longer, right? I think many of you know what this is. So what used to happen was the lower color was darker and the above was lighter. So this was our United Colors of Benetton when we were small. But this is how my childhood was. And to iron our clothes, we would put the clothes under bed and sleep, hoping that next morning is ironed. So this was also electricity-free, eco-friendly, very nice technology. So I am coming from this background, and interestingly, we studied in MBA about capital. We are in a capitalistic society. Money is needed to run things, and then you have to make it sustainable. So I had this idea because later, after Father Joel, Father Alvin, we had Father Franklin's term. Is an incredible man, always with, power and always talking about Bible and Jesus. In the beginning, we used to think he's crazy, but actually I have to tell you that some of the things I learned from him have helped me later in my business, which I will share with you, and which has connection with our theme, touched by Jesus walking his way. So I'm bringing that connection. Maybe I take 1 or 2 minutes extra. Father, please bear with me, okay? So what happened was, I decided that we have to do something. So one Bible quote stuck in my head, this concept of doing something for the least, the last, and the lost, right? I think you have heard this in different speeches, in different formats. So the question was, what can we do for this kind of people? So while I was in my IT company, we would volunteer for an NGO, which is run by Sisters of Tabs. So they have a community college where they take girls who couldn't study more than 10th, because the father is drinking or some other problem, and they couldn't go on studying. So these sisters would keep these girls and train them for 1 year in something called job-oriented course. So they would teach them office administration and so on. So a thought struck in my head, what if I take these girls who are the lowest because they couldn't do more than 10th and train them and give them a job in an IT concept or in an IT company. So obviously I tried to do that, but it didn't work. Nobody wanted to take them. And then I said, that Sister Rosemary, a little bit old sister, she was formerly provincial, but very nice and graceful. She shook my hand and said, Jose, why don't you do something? So I said, okay, sister, what can I do? Because we tried to get these girls jobs in Coffee Day and so on, but Coffee Day said they have to stay till night, 9 o'clock. The father of the girl doesn't allow. If the girl is in poverty, her next family is in poverty. They stay stuck in poverty forever. How do we bring them out? So finally, we decided, let's do one thing. Let me start the company. So again, I remembered Father Sunny. You remember? He said, we have 5,000, we have to start. So I figured out that we need a lot of money. I went to the bank manager. He said, you're going to do IT with 10th pass and fail people? I'm sorry. You're a nice guy, but it's not possible to give money. So then I called up some of my friends. I raised the money. And I have to tell you, in 3 years, we paid them all back with 15% interest. All my friends, I paid them back in 3 years. Now, if you really believe in the Bible, and if you really think that you do what it says, which is go and help the last, the least, and the lost, and if you do it sincerely with your heart, God will give you everything you need. And this I am not saying just in the air. When you come to Bangalore, you can call me up, visit my office, and you can see that it's a miracle. I told you how poor I was, and I told you the bank wouldn't give me money, right? So if I was able to start that and run that business successfully, this works because God was with us. And then one more thing I want to tell you, this is where Father Franklin comes in, because I used to see that he's always sharing these words, and we see on his Facebook page all these Bible words. I started this practice of reading the Bible every day. So my wife is here. Yeah, she's over there. By the way, I have to tell Murphy that marriage is a good thing. I am happily married. Okay, I am happily married, and you can meet me and my wife. We are here for till tomorrow. It's a good thing, and it's a question of give and take. If you're ready to give, then you will get a lot. So, boys, you have to decide that you have to give a lot. But at the same time, remember that the more you give, the more you get. I'm talking about love, understanding, fellowship, whatever. So, the thing was, we decided to read the Bible every day. So morning when we go to office in the car, my wife reads the Bible, which is the daily word, every day's words. And I can't quote it like the Protestants or like some of the priests, no, John 10, 12, I can't quote it. But some of the stories stay in my head, okay? And I have to tell you, because of this, the government of Germany, which is the state Bavaria, some of them who wanted to see how we are doing this thing with the girls in our community college run business, they asked me to be their advisor in India. So I have in our Indian office, the Bavarian state's office, and in a way I work for the German government. But I stay in India, I'm not in Germany. I keep going once in 3 months. But I stay in India, and my idea is to create jobs in India. Because in India, what we don't have is capital. Capital is money, not capital letters. Capital is money, we don't have. We have young people, we have resources, we have ideas. So we have to bring capital and people and resources together and create sustainable cycle. This is the objective. And finally, I would like to say that in the end, I want to end with a small story. I was visiting with one of the bishops of India, Archbishop in Salzburg. Salzburg is one of the rich dioceses. It was a princely state. And it's interesting that yesterday's Bible quote that we read, you remember in Mass? Were you awake? Were you awake? Do you remember the main reading, the final reading? Maybe you don't. But anyway, I'll tell you that it was the story of Zacchaeus climbing the tree, right? So I was trying to help this bishop raise money for social projects in India, because I understand that I can help 15 people, 20 people in my company, maybe 100. But there are thousands of people that need help, and how can I do it? So the conclusion was, we thought, let's make connection between Germany and Austria, Germany and Switzerland and India, so that some resources can move and some people can be helped. So this archbishop, who is a philosopher, he told us that the reading last Sunday was Zacchaeus climbing the tree. He said, we in Europe are like this rich man. Okay, we are rich and we can't see Jesus. And you in India are like the tree. We have to climb you to see Jesus. So we would like to work with you. Of course, now our Indian bishop has to send the projects and things will work. But what I want to say is, please, this theme that you have taken, touched by Jesus and walking his way, is the core and the center of knowing who you are. Most of the other speakers said, ICYM helped me know who I am. But the moment you put Jesus in the center of your life, it's possible that all the problems you have get solved and you don't have any problems. Honestly, this is the witness of my life. Some of the priests come often to my office, they see, and you can ask them whether they see me sad and upset anytime. Most of them, they will say no, because really, when God solves your problem, there is no problem. Thank you very much.
One training at Cochin and open various vistas. And that's how his summary of the presentation was, if we believe, we can, and more so believing in the Word of God contained in the Bible. That was indeed good sharing. Initially, I had thought, and I was sitting in front because I thought that I could invite all to speak from here only. But it was good that they went over there and shared. The initial idea was that they speak for 10 minutes and then towards the end we give some time for question answers. But now, since once upon a time I was also involved in the organizing of the National Youth Convention, I would like to abide by the organizers and keep the time up to 9:30. And so I would like to say in conclusion, instead of asking you all to ask questions, you could do that during the tea break, meet the persons and gather more information. Touched by Jesus. And so the theme is ICYM and me, witness and achievement. ICYM, which began in 2000. But right from 1986, we had CBCI Commission for Youth. The first chairman was Archbishop Abraham Viruthakulangara. And he was the person who really gave impetus to the ICYM at that time. It was his vision and the mission of the other youth directors. And that's how most of the programs were conducted, animated by the priests and nuns. And the voice of the youth prompted us to start the ICYM. I still remember late Archbishop, most of them are no more today, late Archbishop Henry D'Souza, Cardinal Baselius, Cardinal Worki Vidayatil, Cardinal Padiyara, the present persons, Cardinal Telespor Toppo and Cardinal Oswald Gracious, who showed us the way to get the document approved. And that's how ICYM was approved, and jointly, priests and nuns, along with the youth leaders, we are running the show together. And so what Aparna mentioned in her presentation, that we are really privileged ones, I believe so, because the gathering of this sort, positively, not against somebody, but for reaching out to the youth, by the youth, this is the process that is to be understood all the more. And so the witness and the achievement as presented by the four persons while concluding this session, I had to mention that Murphy was highlighting through his presentation how coming out of the comfort zone is essential. Prakash was speaking about how success is about learning. It's not only the product, but it is the process. Aparna was speaking about how we need to explore various drives and how ICYM made her think and think loudly. Joe Jacob speaking about if we believe we can, and highlighting the Bible to reach out the last, the least, and the lost. I remember Mother Teresa used to say, I'm called not to be successful, but I'm called to be faithful. And so the achievement is not the material aspect that we are talking about, but the self-realization, the potential of the youth from to be to become in order to reach out to as many persons who need to be reached. And so the cry of the youth for the Youth Forum is still relevant. It was initiated against the backdrop of the Holy Father's letter in 1987. And that's how CBCI continues. And the three episcopal body also are necessary. Against this background, that ICYM is relevant because it is for supra-ritual and national matters. The matters which could be dealt with by the ritual bodies could be enhanced. But at the same time, ICYM, Indian Catholic Youth Movement, remains relevant to deal with the supra-ritual and the national matters. And so there are three realities in India, and yet one body, and that's how ICYM needs to be reinforced. Youth movement is appreciated even by Vatican. ICYM, when it was recognized, the Vatican also appreciated, and that's how the collaboration began with FIMC. The persons after me, Father Alvin, Father Franklin, and now Father Deepak, have really done their best, along with the presidents of that time. And that's how we have reached the 17th year. The Active 8 Foundation and last year's Alumni Association of the ICYM indicates how we are here to support, collaborate, and cooperate for the good cause. The signs of the hope are quite many. But the NGOs which are initiated by those who have come out of the ICYM, these are the signs of hope. The Synod on Youth, which will take place next year, October in 2018, on the theme Faith, Discernment, and Vocation, is going to open still more avenues for the youth movement, and especially for ICYM. The questionnaire, which will come from Vatican, which will be distributed at the grassroots level, and we will be able to get the feedback, and I'm sure ICYM will be still more consolidated. I believe in youth, and I'm sure ICYM will go a long way in the years to come because of working together of the hierarchy along with our youth. So all the best, my dear young friends. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity along with our 4 young friends. Thank you.
NYC.